Hello and welcome back to TVP World. And here are the latest news. Tens of thousands of people rallied in Serbia's capital Belgrade on Saturday, demanding early parliamentary elections. The action, led by students, comes after months of protests across the country against Serbia's populist president Alexandar Vucic.
In Serbia, dozens of protesters have been arrested during clashes with riot police at a mass anti-government rally. Tens of thousands of demonstrators gathered in the Serbian capital Belgrade, demanding an early parliamentary election.
This is the first time for 13 years of the Alexandar Vucic rule that he doesn't want to give elections. We have elections almost every 2 years, the parliament elections, and this is the first time he doesn't want to go on election.
Local media report that police in riot gear used tear gas, pepper spray and stun grenades to forcibly disperse crowds. Activists claim last night's violence was sparked by infiltrators who then fled.
Violence is the only thing they have left, and police brutality on their side. People infiltrated in the protest to start the violence, actually.
Anti-government demonstrations began in November last year after a renovated rail station canopy collapsed, killing 16 people. Many blame the concrete roof disaster on government corruption and negligence. Police said 6 officers and an unknown number of citizens were injured in Saturday's clashes.
A large-scale Russian missile and drone attack targeted Ukraine overnight, hitting multiple regions, including the western areas far from the front lines. The assault comes amid intensified bombardments that have been escalating in recent months, leaving damage and casualties across the country. Russia's overnight missile and drone strikes targeted Ukrainian cities, including Mykolaiv, Zaporozhye and Cherkasy, injuring at least 3 people. Ukrainian forces responded quickly, activating air defenses to protect key infrastructure. Lviv's defenses thwarted attempts to hit civilian buildings while Russia's bombardment continues to escalate. Poland also activated its air defenses to signal it was ready to defend Polish and NATO territory. This comes a day after President Putin signaled openness to peace talks, but with the tough condition that Ukraine surrender all foreign military aid, something Kiev has firmly rejected. Ukraine's military has confirmed the loss of an F-16 fighter jet, with the pilot reportedly killed. This marks the second such incident this year, as questions remain over who is responsible for downing the aircraft. The Ukrainian Air Force announced on the Telegram messengers application that the pilot had engaged in combat and shot down 7 air targets before his aircraft was damaged while taking down the final one, causing it to lose altitude. While it's still unclear who shot down the jet, this follows a similar loss in April. Ukraine has received 50 to 60 American-designed F-16s from NATO allies, but the country's air operations continue to face significant risks in the ongoing conflict. Pope Leo XIV has met with Greek Catholic pilgrims from Ukraine in St. Peter's Basilica on Saturday. He expressed his sympathies for Ukrainians who lost loved ones during the Russian invasion of their country.
I would like to express my closeness to the martyred Ukraine, to the children, the youth, the elderly, and in a special way to the families who mourn their loved ones. I share your sorrow for the prisoners and victims of this senseless war. I entrust to the Lord your intentions, your daily labors and tragedies, and especially your desires for peace and serenity.
E soprattutto I desideri di pace e di serenità.
Russia is reportedly trying to revive liquefied natural gas exports at its top Arctic LNG 2 plant, which was targeted by US sanctions last year. The 5-year-old plant cut production from its gas fields to almost zero in November 2024 after halting liquefaction the previous month due to Western sanctions. Bloomberg reports that LNG vessel has docked at the Arctic LNG 2 facility for the first time since October. According to the news agency, satellite images and ship tracking data indicate that at least 13 vessels of Russia's so-called shadow fleet have been assembled to potentially serve Arctic LNG 2. Moscow's shadow fleet is made up of an aging and often unshored tankers that are used to circumvent global sanctions. While the Budapest Pride has been banned by the government of Prime Minister Viktor Orbán, thousands of those sympathetic to the LGBTQ plus cause have flocked to the country's capital regardless. TVP World was there and asked what makes the event so important to them.
We got invited by local friends of ours, and basically we were all for it because the situation here is quite horrendous politically. Like a far-right government that's trying to ban civil liberties, that's trying to restrict freedoms.
I am here in the Pride because I think it's very important to stand by human rights, because it should be a happy festival, but today in Hungary we have to stand for our rights, just to be who I am.
We have been here since they've been aware of us. Like, we have been here since the beginning of time. We will be here, even though they don't want us to be here, and we'll continue to be proud of us and proud of ourselves.
I'm considering that if we will be fined for this, then it's time to leave the country.
Hungary is now the worst place for LGBTQ plus people in Europe. That's according to Tanya Domi, an assistant professor at International and Public Affairs, Columbia University. Speaking to TVP World, she highlighted the challenging climate as thousands gathered in Budapest to protest Prime Minister Viktor Orbán's controversial policies. The rally marked a powerful stand for LGBTQ plus rights amid rising government opposition.
That just tells you how many people reject Orbán's view of LGBTQ people. And I would say from the outset that the worst conditions in Europe for LGBTQ citizens is in Hungary. There are thousands of people standing in solidarity with this community that has been under siege by Mr. Orbán really since I would say approximately around 2016, when he banned gender studies at Central European University and later on banned it throughout the entire country. And he has choice words calling people from this community as woke globalists, which is pivoting off a slur against Jews. He's been rabid in his pursuit of this community.
Polish astronauts Sławosz Uznański-Wiśniewski and his colleagues on the Axiom 4 mission aboard the International Space Station have started a series of Polish experiments. The Polish Space Agency posted on X that the team has acclimatized well to the new environment. On Saturday, they started 3 new Polish scientific investigations focusing on human gut microbiota, astromental health, and the field of immunology. Uznański-Wiśniewski and his fellow crew members have also taken part in safety and emergency situation training. Poland is leading the way with initiatives that go beyond traditional military concerns, says Wawrzyniec Konarski, rector of Vistula University, speaking to TVP World. He discussed Poland's broader approach to European security, emphasizing health, border protection and disinformation, with Denmark set to follow Poland's example.
Some of the initiatives which have been undertaken and declared, as far as I recall, it was called as the 7 pillars of the European security, because security is something which matters mostly in this time. I think this security includes, in fact, not typical understanding of the military affairs, fortunately, but security in terms of the health, security in terms of the protection of the border. Of course, the disinformation aspect, which is definitely a certain threat, not only for Poland, but for many other countries. But the most important, I think, is the fact that Poland shows a sort of the trace, a sort of the pathway for the other countries what to do within these specific and very complicated circumstances. And Denmark, as far as I know, is going to adopt the Polish measurement or the Polish perception of the tasks which we declared to perform. But this is one aspect, more or less, I wouldn't say theoretical, but it's an aspect which is something which can be called as the certain readiness to show off, to show to the rest of the European countries Polish efficiency and effectiveness.
A new survey shows that most Slovakians want to stay in both the EU and NATO, with around half of respondents saying they want a strong leader. According to a poll conducted earlier this month by the Ipsos agency for Denik N, more than 65% of those surveyed want the country to stay in the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, while 69% backed continued EU membership. As NATO prepared for last week's annual Leaders' Summit, Slovakia's pro-Russian populist Prime Minister Robert Fico suggested that his country might be better off neutral rather than a member of the Defense Alliance. Fico has accused Western leaders of being warmongers who enable weapons profiteering in their support of Ukraine. And with that, we conclude this edition of World News. Thank you so much for being with us. Please stay tuned to TVP World.